Well, this'll work. Hello everyone, welcome back to Minecraft. Well, as you can see, a little bit has happened since the last episode. I've just finished up a live stream where we were going around and trying some different options for removing sections of this area. In between episodes, I went and collected up all of the lava, mostly using buckets and a couple of pieces of netherrack, just walking around and grabbing what was necessary. But down here, we now have quite a large hole. And that was because somebody in my Twitch chat suggested trying out the what do you call them? TNT minecarts. And saying that apparently Etho has been trying them out in Hermitcraft recently and noticed that they're a really good way and something that you can use with autocrafters or the crafter, which is actually what we're going to be getting into this episode. Not necessarily purely for making these TNT minecarts, but that was what I was planning to do anyway. And if I can sort of achieve multiple things at once by learning how to use this crafter, then I will. So this has removed a good section, and I think that may be the way that I go about it for the most part, especially when it's big sections like this. Now, there's obviously a lot more to do than just that little hole. I did spend some time going around with just normal TNT and slowly getting it closer and closer to my wall. Oh no. That's not what I intended to do at all. Stop it. But yeah, all in all, I think the TNT minecarts is actually probably my best bet, or the best use of the resources that I have, because I only really have, let's have a look. I only really have about this much TNT left, so using the minecarts seems to be a good way to make the most of it. I can just set up random grids like this, but there's also the option of making it with autocrafters. So we're going to have a look at some stuff to do with the crafter today and see if I can wrap my head around how it works. So for now, I'm just going to leave this stuff in here actually, and just keep it in the center and that way. It's very easy to lose your way now because it's not very obvious where I am, but I should be able to drop through here and make our way back home. Now, in between episodes, I have also, I don't necessarily know why I was going down here other than to just look at it because it's pretty. It's nice. But in between episodes, I have installed a data pack to get the experimental features of 1.21, but without the trial chambers. So if I go like this and type data pack list, you can see that it says update 1.21, no trial chambers. And that has allowed me to get the recipes for all of the stuff from 1.21 without actually changing the way that my terrain generates. Not at the moment anyway. So in here, I've got crafters. I made sure that I could get it working. It did take me a little while to nut things out and make it work in this world, but now we do have that. This is working away and depositing some bits and pieces. I think we are full on the netherrack, but I wanted to make sure that I had it ready before I came in and started filming. So we now have a crafter, and I think it's time we start to do some experimenting. All right, let's take our redstone box and let's find a good space for it. Up here seems like a good place to start. Down here. So we have our crafter, and I'm going to need a couple of bits and pieces. I'm just going to put that out of the way for the time being. Some redstone, comparators, repeaters. All of this is kind of good. Yeah. And I'll grab plenty of redstone because it is a good one to use for some examples. Button works as well. Okay. So by now, most of you probably have seen some bits and pieces about this crafter. I know a lot of us probably watch Hermitcraft, and I've been keeping up with what I can as I can, but the crafter is an upcoming object that is being released in the next update 1.21, and it allows for auto crafting materials. So for example, if I filled this up with redstone, much like a crafting table, it would show what is available, but instead of me being able to take that out like this, it requires a redstone signal to be put through the block and it will craft it itself. Now, this may seem a little bit uninteresting until you realize that you can set this up to automatically fill up those slots and automatically craft those blocks. And I do believe if I put a container of some form in front of it, that it will automatically place the redstone block inside. So we can automatically feed things through this crafter and either uncraft or craft up a bunch of different items. When I say uncraft, that is because putting that through there will turn it back into redstone dust. The implications for this and the uses are really fascinating for Minecraft. Having played a little bit of modded myself, the idea of being able to automate some things, especially crafting and uncrafting of items for space saving, for farms, is really, really interesting. So let me sleep, and then we're going to have a little bit of a talk about what I want to use it for, which is more specifically related to this thing. Yeah. Come on. Are you just about ready to go? Do one for me just before I go to sleep. Come on. Come on. Swoopy. No, I'm not waiting. Okay. So, what I want to use this for is related to turning this kelp that I have automated using this farm into fuel to then fuel a super smelter that will provide all that I require for this thing. Or these things, these mountains. That's a lot of stone. And if I can avoid, through a little bit of fun crafting and farm making, if I can avoid having to mine, early estimates are around 600,000 to 700,000 stone to craft these, then obviously that's pretty ideal. That means I don't have to do a bunch of grinding and I can build stuff at the same time. Now, if we duck down into here, where it is putting it all, we have a decent little supply starting to build up. And the idea of this is as I work around the area, it's going to be running and it's going to be providing a bunch of fuel. Now, somewhere here, there we go. By now, I would assume that most people who have played Minecraft understand that you can smelt kelp down into dried kelp, and it becomes a very terrible version of food. But it can also be crafted into kelp blocks. And kelp blocks, when put together like so, and put into a furnace, I'm pretty sure they smelt 20 items per block. For comparison, one piece of coal smelts 8. So with a bunch of kelp blocks, you can potentially smelt a lot of items for a fairly cheap and extremely renewable source. Oh, good. Look at that. Perfectly timed. See? Renewable. So, because I can farm this infinitely and it will just continue to grow, I can provide myself with infinite fuel using this thing. Ta-da! Blocks of kelp. Now, let's just grab this because it's fun to watch it do that. So what I can do is I can take the kelp that is running down into that storage system and instead I can feed it into a small smelting array because it's not that fast that I really need something on the level of a super smelter. Maybe 4 to 8 of them would probably be okay. But these things here, the smokers, in fact, 1 second. And ba-boom. So with something like this set up and automatically being fed the kelp that I have been farming down there, so essentially in the place of the storage system, I would have a chest or something above these smokers. I would feed that with kelp to constantly be turned into dried kelp, which would be really, really nice. Now, in theory, if you had a efficient enough farm of kelp, you could loop the supplies of this through, make it make enough dried kelp to then turn into kelp blocks and continue to fuel itself. But I'm a little bit worried that I wouldn't be able to do that super efficiently. And I think there's another way that I could go about it. if we set up a bamboo farm to fuel this array, that way I guarantee that the kelp blocks are being entirely used for making stone, and we can make some fun farms, and it's a little bit of just enjoyable stuff to build around this area. So I can have kelp coming in and being fed into the top section, a bamboo farm feeding the fueling station, and then coming out the bottom should be a bunch of dried kelp, which I will then feed into crafters. Now, crafters, when all of these squares are full, put out a signal of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I believe. Right? If I press F3, the power is 0. Probably because I need to compare it. There we go. So over on the side, I'll zoom in real quick. You can see it says power 9 just there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it runs out. Now, I don't think if I put more items in, does that power that? It doesn't. So it doesn't matter if it is over the amount of items. Once there is every single slot filled, it can go to 9. So this is maxed out at a 9. Another very interesting redstone tidbit is that if you have a composter with a comparator line coming out of it like this, and you go and grab something like moss carpet, perfect. Right now, the amount of power is at 0, but now it's at 1. And if I go all the way up to the point where there is bone meal visible, like so, it goes to a power of 8 and nothing more. So that means maxed out, this can only go to a power of 8. Okay, I hope you're following along here. This is something that I learnt from a video I can't quite remember, but I'm sure it was one of the technical Minecrafters, and I'm going to go looking for it later. But there was more just a little clip that gave me the idea, and I've worked this out myself. I'm not sure who the origin was, but if I can find it, I will let you know. Probably like Ilmango or Raceworks or something. Although I don't know if Ilmango is still making videos. But that being said, one of the fantastic things that that means is that, oh, I'm going to have to do this and move it, but is that if you fill this up like so, and this comparator is reading a signal of 8, while there are 9 of these sections filled, this will output power. But if I put it into comparative mode, I think, or deductive, wait, there's a name for this, right? Subtract mode. It subtracts the amount of power coming from the side of it and the amount of power, or from the amount of power coming out of the middle. That means that we only get a power of 1 because this does 9, this does 8, the leftover is 1. That means that that will stay at power 0 all the way up to this point where it is at 8, because obviously 8 minus 8 doesn't equal anything, it's 0. And then once this happens, we have ourselves a signal. Now, what I can do with that is over this way, have, for example, a hopper going into the side of there. We'll remove all of this redstone. We'll use this netherrack because it's what I have on me at the moment. I can set up a little system similar to what you use with like the sorting system down there that I have, where I have blocks like this, a repeater should go like that, and something like this, where that's turned off until this provides power enough to make the system go. And if I put in dried kelp, nothing will happen until it hits 9, like that. Nothing's happening. Once it hits 9, it fires. Look at that. So it has successfully gone ahead and filled that up with dried kelp. It won't do anything in this way. That being said, if you block out or lock these spots, they count as a signal, and that should be putting out a signal of about 8. The second something goes in, well, it crafts 1. I'd have to set up a different system if I wanted to craft it a little bit more efficiently in the opposite way. Or more to the point, there's probably far better options. Like I could just constantly provide it with power so it decrafts those. But what we are after is, of course, crafting the dried kelp. into kelp blocks, like that. Wonderful. So, while this isn't the most pretty design, I should be able to work out a way to hook this up to some smokers and all of my system down below. Yeah. Okay. I hope you're keeping up with what I'm saying. I hope it makes sense a little bit. Essentially what we're doing is, oh my goodness. I'm just going to wait up here for a second. Hey friends. I think they're all waiting in the shadow of the mountains above. Okay. So yes, as I was saying, we're basically using fairly simple redstone mechanics to provide a signal to this block once it reaches a certain output on the comparator. The only difference is now we have a crafter that actually does an action of crafting when it receives that signal, meaning we can automate the crafting of kelp. One more time. Oh, it's so satisfying. Blech. And one more. Blech. Okay. Now, of course, there are other ways to receive exactly a signal of 8. You could craft another one of these and you could just lock 8 spots on it and use it in the position of this composter. But composters are really good lag-friendly blocks and they're also extremely cheap. So that's why they're a really good option. Now, stop it. Now, I'm not sure if there is a way to make this tileable so that it's 1 by 1. I'm sure, well, there probably is, but I haven't looked into it at all. I'm going to see if I can work out a way to do that by myself, but inevitably it's probably not going to be possible because I'm not that smart with redstone. I have a basic understanding of some things, but I still have a long way to go as far as being able to automatically do these things myself. So I might fiddle for a bit, but most likely I'll end up going to look for some YouTube videos. And if I can find something that works, then I'll try it out and maybe we'll start setting ourselves up down below with a little smelter array to turn the kelp into kelp blocks. We also need to make a bamboo farm. Okay, we have a heading. Let's see what we can get done. You know, I really didn't think about the fact that I haven't collected any slime in this playthrough yet, or barely any. And I have no idea where a swamp is. But it is the morning, so I've got the day to go around and have a look. Ooh, I should really get myself a ender chest if I'm going to be flying around. Hold on. Take you and just grab these. And I'll save myself some travel time and go through the nether. Oh my goodness. Oh no, this is interesting. Come on. I don't have any arrows. Oh my goodness. Okay, come on. Oh, they disappeared. Okay, well, this is fine. Oh boy, I'm going to have to fix that later. My goodness. Do I have anything on me now, actually? No. Well, that was interesting. So, as I was saying, I've got the day to go find myself a swamp and hopefully collect a few slime balls in the nighttime. I could try and find myself a slime chunk, but I like the idea of exploring the world a little bit with the daytime. And unless you use like slime or chunk base or whatever it is, or maybe mini HUD would show them off, it's pretty rare to just stumble across one. So I'm just going to go this direction, which as far as I can tell, yeah, I haven't gone that way. We're going to go check it out and see what we can find. Because I need slime for the flying machine in the bamboo farm that I just built. And we'll go back and have a proper look at that in a second and see if we can get it hooked up to the rest of things. But for now, we're going to fly over this way and see if I can stumble across a swamplands. Something that is big enough to spawn in some slimes. A good sized badlands is always handy. Ooh, very handy. And and a bunch of red sand if we ever wanted it. Very nice, but no swamp. Ooh. Is this the first cherry biome that I've found in this world? Oh my. I don't think I've seen one yet. Well, that's a pleasant little byproduct of flying into some new chunks. I wonder if I can get myself a couple of, oh wow, that's a few bees. I wonder if I can capture that as well. Get those bees in there as well as get myself some saplings. I'll try. Come on, go in. There's one. Come on, go in at the same time. 2 should do. And let's just try and do it without destroying the area. There we go. Nice. That's really great. I'm actually really happy with that. New biomes. Okay. We're running out of daylight though. That is impressive. Well, I'm going to keep looking, and hopefully before the night runs out we find one. Wow, what is this? That's incredible. The way that the water staggers down there, very cool. All right, it's about time we found one. Come on, I just need some slime. Oh, it's tiny, but it might be enough. This is the first one I've found in a long... Oh, there we go. That's more like it. There we go. That's far more like it. Yes. Okay, let's see if we can survive and get ourselves some slime. Yeah, the survival part is probably a little bit more important right now. Wow, that's a lot of mobs. And it's a thunderstorm. Okay, fight amongst yourselves. This is great though. It shouldn't take too long with a swamp this size. Oh, nice little village over there. But it shouldn't take too long to gather up what I need. Oh, I'm riddled with arrows. And now that I have some arrows, I can use my bow again. Now, there was another big boy over this way, and we can clear the way a little. This is a really nice swamp actually. Lots of land for them to spawn on. Now, I probably need enough to make about 10 slime balls, or sorry, slime blocks, which is about 90. A stack and a half of slime would do me. So we're going to make use of most of the rest of this night, I'd say. Oh, goodness. And fight mobs the whole time. Ow. Well, actually, I better make it quick because it looks like I spent enough time flying around that I'm actually running out of the night. Here we go. This guy will hopefully get me the rest of what I need. Oh my goodness, they're everywhere. A golden baby as well. Wow, this is the most mobs I've seen in an area in a long time. Wow. Okay, let's make this happen. Whew. How much did I get? 70? It might not be enough. Ow, please. That was ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen so many mobs spawn on the top side of the overworld ever. We got 74. I do believe I had some back home. Maybe enough for 2 slime blocks. But it's probably safest for me to wait out the day and stay here one more night, get myself a little bit more, and then try and remember where this was. Luckily, we do have this, but you can see how far I've traveled. About 6,000 blocks, if that's the 0 mark. And we're down here, 5,700, 5,600. Oh my. And I went quite a ways and then curved back. This is a ridiculously large swamp though. Very nice. I'm going to explore a little bit, get myself some more slime, and then we'll head back home and finish this machine. Also, kind of good to note that we do have a spot there with a witch in it. Actually, that one's an even better one. Wouldn't even require that much to remove the landscape around it. I don't know if I really need a witch farm though. Alright, as I was saying. Oh my goodness, I'm a porcupine and we're waiting through this day. Now, over in this little cave here is my bamboo farm. Just tucked down right beside the kelp farm here. I decided to make it nice and close by, and hopefully I can use this area and the way that it delivers these items into here and hook that up to this little water stream that goes across to my kelp collection area. All I have to do now is put some of this slime stuff together. I managed to get a decent amount though. That's really nice. So I need some observers, some sticky pistons, and probably some glass. And let's see if I can remember how to do this. Now, I'm using a design by Kmond. I'm going to link in the description to the video that I used to make this. It's a pretty simple bamboo farm, but it's a great tutorial. And since I'd never made one before, it was really easy to follow and really easy to replicate. And I think I remember how to make a flying machine. If I do this, I need these across here. And we'll put glass so that it doesn't grip onto any of the walls. And glass. Then I should be able to grab my observer, place it like so, and I'm going to need to do this, place it like so, and with all that said and done, it should just be a matter of doing this. Flying machine should go over there, and the little system on the other side will activate the piston over top to send it back. Oh, I didn't line it up properly. Whoops. Well, I guess I better try that one again. I just didn't line the obsidian up with the right spot. Now, doop, one of those. Boop, 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 boop. There. Up into there. And up into there. Now it should work. It should go across, sit in front of the observer, and then get sent back. Now, if I turn this back on, it will make it so that it stays locked. Ah, perfect. Now, I'm going to set this up to have a little bit of automation, maybe with a etho hopper clock or something back here, or a daylight sensor of sorts, so that it does run periodically. But I'm going to put in some bamboo. In fact, let's see if I have any available. Nope. Season saplings? Huh. I really thought I would have some bamboo. Well, it shouldn't be too hard to find some. This'll do. Wait, I'm getting recipes for bamboo. I haven't collected any since those bamboo recipes were added. Interesting. All right. I think that's it. Now, to show it off a little bit better, I'm just going to go into free cam, and you can see under here I have powered rails and all of that set up so that I can turn this on and it will collect items from underneath. Now, we can most likely leave that on if we wanted to, or hook it up to the system over here that I might build as far as allowing this to run periodically. I think best bet would probably be to just leave it on though. We can always come back and look at it again later if it's causing lag, but I think it should be okay. And I think now I'm just going to spend the time, let this grow, and see if I can get all of this hooked up together and back down here so that these, oh my goodness, so that these are fed with fuel from the bamboo farm, which I already have a line set up over here, that I will put a little deposit point or like a cactus or something just here so that it destroys it if anything goes over. These should fill up and be a nice backup of fuel for this. And of course, we are building up kelp. Lots of kelp. In fact, I probably need to do something about that very quickly. I've got a heap over here that needs to be done as well. Maybe I can put a little backup in that one too. Here, quick fix. Right now, these are going directly down into some hoppers below. But if I just do this, And then this, that should work, maybe. Will those barrels get filled up? No, they won't. I might have to adjust this one more height to make it work. That's fine. Either way, I'm going to get that done. And then we're going to see if all of this tied together works with maybe even a little bit of the crafter over here. The episode's gone a little bit sideways since we worked on the crafter, but we'll get back there before we finish. Let me see what I can do. So, after much work and much fiddling around, I do have some dried kelp blocks being auto-crafted through here. But there is a problem. A little one, or a big one, depending how you look at it. But this bamboo farm does not even come close to providing enough fuel for what I have. Right now, it's not even quite enough to keep one of the furnaces running. Now, I'll quickly run through what I have done back here so you can understand. I have connected up the flying machine and the locking or the running of these hopper minecarts over here to a singular etho hopper clock. This has, I believe, 2 full stacks in there. Once it is done, we'll see in a second, it switches and sends off the flying machine. At the same time, it turns on this power and stops those. So it stops the things from running while the flying machine is. That allows all of this to gather up, and then once it switches back, i.e. the flying machine has done its job and it has moved all of the bamboo and knocked it all down onto the ground, then it gives those hopper minecarts a chance to run and pick it all up. From there, it's just a very simple little clock here that runs the bamboo through this water stream and into the fueling line. Now, I've currently locked this. We'll see in a second if it starts to fill up with some stuff, but I might have... okay, it's all going back through into here because I've locked these hoppers a little bit. Let's just put this on, and we should see that it starts to cook some of the kelp. But through my testing, it has slowly run out, and eventually this turns off, and none of these other ones turned on. So it does work very slowly, but we need a better source of fuel. Proof of concept wise, I believe it works. Obviously, we have plenty of kelp. In fact, all of these have filled up and we're up to the last one, which means that we really need these running. And I'd love to hear what you guys think. There are a couple of options that we could try. We could quadruple or even, I don't know what the word is for 8 times, but we could really expand this bamboo farm and turn it into something significantly larger. Right now it is about 12 wide, and I think the growing section is like maybe 20, if that. Yeah, about 20, 21. So we could expand that out to nearly 64 blocks long and 2 or 3 times as wide if we wanted to. That could potentially provide enough. Or we could make ourselves a little lava farm and make it a little bit more of a manual thing. Allow it to build up like this, and then whenever we want some dried kelp, we come in and put it through. That requires kind of removing the buckets though, and it's not ideal. As it stands, feeding the dried kelp blocks back into it could work now that we have this much kelp. Maybe it just requires priming the system, but I'm a little bit worried that these will not, well, they actually will. They should provide a net plus. So maybe I try and loop this output back around and eventually it's becomes self-sustaining. But I'm worried that the kelp farm above isn't fast enough to indefinitely run that. So I'd have to like turn it off, allow it to build up a barrel or all of these barrels worth of kelp and then fire it up again. I'm a little bit lost and I'm not quite sure what I want to do with it, but that's fine. Not everything can go perfectly and not everything turns out exactly how you want it. A little bit of a mishap is bound to happen every now and again. And hey, doesn't mean that we give up. It just means that we maybe have to change things slightly. What have you got? Oh, slime. You would have been helpful earlier. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that question to you guys. This has been a little bit of an experiment. We've been trying some different things. We've learned how to set ourselves up the crafter. At least that functional side of things is working just fine. I ended up doing just one, exactly the same as I showed before, but with some cleaner materials. And now every time this fills up with a single dried kelp in every slot, it creates a single dried kelp block. which should be happening. Where is that going? Oh, it's locked in those, of course. Yeah, this was just a temporary solution, so we should see that start to fill up. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I hope you enjoyed the episode of me just organizing some things anyway. I think while I wait for you guys to watch and maybe give me some advice and some comments that can help me in moving forward with this section, in the next episode we might head back into the Nether and continuing our little run with the crafter, we might set ourselves up to start crafting some of this. Wait, where is my TNT? I've got it somewhere. But crafting TNT into those minecarts and see if we can make a bit more of a dent in that Nether perimeter. So that will probably be next episode, and then we'll come back and see if we can tackle this again. But until then, I hope you all enjoyed, and I want to say thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my Patreon supporters for your continued support. You folks are amazing. Genuinely means a lot that you're willing to support me in continuing to do this, even through some of the failures. But I hope you're all enjoying, and I hope you've been having fun with the series. So with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everyone. Whoop whoop.